let's say this, everybody in the United States, they're making adjustments. The education system, it's been adjusted, right? Everybody has made adjustment. Some schools are doing virtual. Some schools are doing a combination. Some schools, they are back in class. Even some schools, they're waiving the SAT and the ACT scores. Your students are unmotivated, right? They've been teenagers. They've been loving high school. Many of them who are graduating seniors, maybe they have that itis has kicked in, right? Senioritis has kicked in. So what do? Okay. There are 3 areas that we have to talk about. We have to have a discussion around their motive, their why, right? Why do you want to go to college? Why is college a great option? And that's what I shared there with those 10 reasons there, right? Why? Motivation. All right. I tell this story all the time. Let's say I was walking down the river, right, with my mother. And as I was walking down the river, let's say this was a phone, right? I'm recording right here on my phone here. Let's say I was walking down the river and I had an iPhone in my hand. And as I was walking down the river with my mother, let's say my iPhone fell into the river. Now, I may be tempted to jump in to retrieve my iPhone 11, but guess what? The iPhone 12, the iPhone 13 will be out soon, so I can get another phone. But let's say I was walking down the same river and my mother fell into the river. Now, I've never seen my mama in a 1-piece or a 2-piece bikini. I don't even know if she can swim. All right. With her blessed self at about 74 years old. Never seen her swim. But if my mother falls into the river, guess what? I will now have a bigger why to jump into the river. Now, my motive or my motivation for jumping into the river is bigger than just the iPhone. And right now, having a conversation with your student around their motive and their why is so important right now. I know your dear babies are growing up. I know your dear babies are leaving. But sometimes people, they aren't moved to do certain things if they don't understand their big why. So as parents, I will put it on the calendar, sit down, maybe around the dinner table, maybe we'll sit out on the back patio and discuss their motive. What's their motivation? What's moving them? What's their big why? What's the thing they want to do after high school? Have a serious conversation about it. That's number 1. All right? That's number 1. Around your motive and motivation, discuss the big why. Somebody put that in the chat box for me. Discuss the big why, right? Discuss the big why. Why do you want to go to college? Why do you want to go to this college? Why aren't you interested in college? Why aren't you moved to complete college applications? Why aren't you moved to complete this college scholarship that's been sitting on your desk the last 3 weeks? We have to have a conversation around it. And I believe in having dialogue with your young person, clearly lets them know and also lets you know, it's like, hey, we're having an adult conversation. Because the reality is this: once your son or daughter leaves your house, they're making decisions on their own. Let's just keep it real, right? For the last 17, 18 years, they've been doing everything that you want them to do. Just straight up. They've been doing everything you want them to do. But now they have to do some things for themselves. So number 1, discuss the big why, the motivation. All right. Here's the next thing. Discuss money. You know, a few months ago, it's probably before the quarantine, my dad and I was in the studio, and it's actually on my YouTube channel somewhere. You see a video with me and my dad. And I said, Dad, why didn't we ever talk about money? Money after high school or money for college? Right? So I was raised middle class broke, right? If you know anything about middle class broke, you know middle class broke, you got a nice mom, a nice dad, a nice house, nice green grass, but you what? Always broke. Middle class broke family, somebody had to always be working. Middle class broke family, we would take vacations, when? On the weekend. But in middle class broke families, we didn't have conversations about money. Not in my household, right? Some things were adult conversations, right? If I asked my parents for some money, I want to go to the movies, wanted to go out on the weekend or whatever, I think somewhere along the line, my daddy trained me to go make money. Right? I started cutting grass at age 8. So I always had a little money in my pocket, but we never talked about the mortgage. We never talked about the light bill. We never talked about water bill. We never talked about gas. We never talked about car loan or car insurance. So we had conversations about, going to the prom, going out, little money. Maybe you've done the same thing. All these years you've been talking about little money. And then all of a sudden, as we're approaching that junior and senior year, we've been talking about $40, $100 for some shoes, maybe going on a field trip, to now we got to have a big boy, big girl conversation to talk about $41,000 to go to college. So why aren't they motivated? Because they've never had to be moved by money, because as a parent, you never really talked about money in the household. Well, at least in my household, we didn't. And because of that, how in the world are you going to take a teenager from conversations about $40 and $50 and $100, anything less than $400, to now talking about $41,000? They aren't wired that way. We want shoe money. How we go from shoe money to college money? So what you're going to have to do is sit down to have a discussion about money. Okay? Have a discussion about money. Now, if this pokes you a little bit because you haven't had conversations about money, type 4. I mean, as a teenager, you've been talking about low money. And then now all of a sudden we need $41,000 to get into school. Why $41,000? That's the average amount that you need to go to college. Okay? So outside of discussing the motive or the big why, you have to sit down to discuss money. Deborah, thank you for being honest, Miss Deborah. She says 4, right? 4. Not having the right. I love Miss Lisa. This is so true, Miss Lisa. She says we only had conversations about what we couldn't afford. We've all heard it. You think money grow on trees? You think I got a money tree out back? No, we all put that down. You walk in the store, you better not touch nothing when you come in this store. We've all heard it. At least I've heard it. But now the reality is this. Yeah, we can talk about conversations about what we couldn't afford, but we got to have a conversations on why it's important to go after money. And the best way to go after money for college is the GM plus OM plus YM formula. You say, what's the GM plus the OM plus the YM formula? It's the government's money plus other people's money plus your money. That's how you pay for college. And I actually go more into detail in that. I got a free workshop where I break down 9-step funding framework. Simply go over to KANTISSIMMONS.com/workshop. All right. KANTISSIMMONS.com/workshop. I'll put it on the screen here if you want to get access to that. All right. It's just my name.com. Sorry for my handwriting. I should have popped it on the screen. All right. /workshop. All right. That's all one word. KANTISSIMMONS.com/workshop. And I break down just step by step where to look, where to locate, how to land. It goes through that whole 9-step process. All right. So you got to have that conversation. Discuss the motive. Discuss the money. Here's the third thing. Discuss the mindset. Now, here's what I mean by mindset. So your teenager right now has a way of thinking that it may be frustrating. For example, your student, they say, you know what? I want to go to school with Charlie. Who is Charlie? Maybe Charlie's the best friend that they have currently in high school. So we got to deal with that mindset. Like, why do you want to go to school with Charlie? You know, Charlie's my friend. That's my bestie, right? We got to deal with that mindset. Or maybe you want to go to school with your high school sweetheart. Well, I remember my high school sweetheart. We tried to make that relationship work. Man, she cut me off freshman year. I hadn't talked to her. I think I may have seen her one time. All right, she went to Florida. I shouldn't tell her. Well, yeah, she went to Florida. No, you guys don't know her. She went to Florida A&M University. I went to Norfolk State University. This is before the internet was popping, before cell phones were popping, and we would write handwritten notes and mail them. And I remember one day, I got that mail. I opened up that envelope, and she told me that, hey, that's not what I want for my life. So we broke up. She didn't explain, she didn't go into detail, but hey, the distance was too much. What am I saying? The mindset about going to a certain college, you can have multiple reasons why, but we need to have to discuss the mindset. What's the mindset behind, oh, well, we just going to go to this college because this way your mom and dad went to school? Listen, parents, never ever push your son or your daughter to go to a college just because you went to the college. Why do I say that? Because that college, see, here's the deal, right? You don't want to go to college just because of the college name. You want to go to the college because of the program that aligns with your son or daughter's major. Why go to one college and they are strong in engineering, but your son or daughter wants to go to a school in business? Why go to a business school when your son or daughter wants to major in a science field? So you want to find the schools that align with the strength of their program that's lined up with their major. All right. What's up, Akila? If you guys can agree with that, type 5, right? What's the mindset? What's the mindset that says, you know what? I want to get out my parents' house, so I won't apply. I'm gonna just go down to the community school right down the street. Why is that the mindset? I'm gonna just go to the community school. Nothing's wrong with the community school, but there may be some other options that are out there. But because we hadn't sat down and looked at the mindset, you just, well, I won't fill out these applications, or I won't do this. We'll just take out a quick loan. The mindset. Here's my belief. If you don't have money for college, your number one goal, your number one job, your number one task is to be looking for money for college, right? If you don't have money for college, your number one job should be looking for college money. Because the reality is this: there are so many people right now, 20, 25 years, 30 years out of college, and they're still paying the college tuition bill because of student loans. Or a person, because of a certain mindset, said, I'm just going to go to the college that's down the street. Or I'm going to go to this college over here just because. No. Those precious 4 to 5 years, they can set you up. They can equip you. They can present opportunities to you and for you for the rest of your life. So let's talk about the mindset. The mindset that says, you know what? my grades probably aren't good enough to get this scholarship. Or the mindset that says, you know what? There are probably no other scholarships out here. They're probably giving all the scholarships away. Where does that mindset come from? You know, the other day, there was millions, was it billions? Millions, billions of dollars for the lottery with the big ball or whatever it is. Guess what? KANTIS Simmons, I would have never won the lottery. Why? Because I didn't buy a lottery ticket. But if your mindset says, oh, you know what? I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery. And you never played a lottery ticket, you will never win. The same is true if you have the mindset, you know what? It's probably too late now. All the scholarships are gone. I don't have a 4.0 GPA. We got to discuss that mindset that says, you know what? Go apply. Go buy a lottery ticket. Apply. Complete the application. Submit the application. In a previous live I did last week, we talked about the top 10 apps that I recommend for locating scholarships. And then there's another one talking about 7 creative ways to help you land college scholarships. But we have to deal with the mindset, right? We have to deal with this mindset. Ways of thinking that's stopping you from taking action. Now, parents, you can continue to sit home and fuss and fight and debate about this. But here's what you're going to have to do. Schedule some time. Schedule some time to sit down with your student and walk them through and encourage them and partner with them in applying for the colleges they want to, completing FAFSA, and searching, as well as applying for college scholarships. Let me just keep it real. Your babies are mature, but many of them, they aren't mature enough to go hunt for $41,000, or they aren't mature enough to go hunt for $200,000 for the next 45 years. They don't see the urgency sometimes. So you can fuss, you can fight, you can bicker, or as a family, we sit down, we schedule date night. We're going to date these applications. We're going to go through KANTIS workshop. We're going to go through KANTIS college paid in full program. All right. We can go through his full program and do step by step by step. Look all the places that he recommends. So now we can put our order in, right? I was talking to a friend earlier today. She says, you know what, KANTIS, I've never had food delivered to my house. I'm like, what? Like I'm sort of addicted to DoorDash. But by me placing my order, I'm sort of guaranteeing that they're going to show up with my food. You're going to have to place an order. Place an order. If you want to go to certain schools, place an order. Put your application in. If you need money for college, place an order. $2.7 billion is the reported amount of money that goes unclaimed from the government. Why? Because people don't apply. Let me tell you guys, when I came out of high school, middle class broke, right? My parents and I, we didn't have a conversation. The only thing my mom and dad told me to do was to focus on my grades, focus on my academics. And I did pretty good. You know, I was on honor roll. I was that dude, right? But even though I was that dude, guess what? I'd have scouts showing up at my school say, hey, KANTIS that dude, right? I didn't have scouts showing up at my school to say, hey, give KANTIS a scholarship. Now, we see that in sports. We don't see it in academics. We don't see it in other areas. So if people aren't showing up at your school trying to give you scholarships, you're going to have to reverse engineer and go look for the scholarships. Somebody say facts over here. Somebody says, thank you, Ms. Deborah, for being honest. She said, we definitely procrastinated, but so grateful to be searching out this info now. Right? right? Another Miss Deborah said, going to the community tech college because of dual enrollment, but continuing there after grad because it was the easiest. We didn't search for other schools. All right. Now, Miss Deborah, anybody else, that's not a bad idea, but that may have been the default idea because we didn't have a conversation or we wait till the last minute. There are a lot of great community colleges that have partnerships with four-year schools. I get it. I understand. But we got to deal with the mindset that says, why aren't we applying? You know, I had a parent the other day. She said to me, she says, Kantis, I already have student loan debt. I don't want my students to have student loan debt. I said, okay. I said, when you were going through college, did you take time to look for college money and funds and apply? It was like, no, I never really heard of information like this. And I said, okay, if you never heard of information like this when you were going through school, I'm giving you information now. So take advantage. Don't allow the mindset of fear to say, you know what? I'm scared. We got to take out student loan debt. Okay. Nothing's wrong with student loan debt. The thing that's wrong with student loan debt is not having a strategy to pay the student loan debt back. Nothing's wrong with it. It may not be ideal. Like, I've never had student loan debt. My ex-wife, when we were married, you know, we had conversations, you know, going through school and stuff. And every now and then, Sally Mae would pop up in the mailbox. I'm like, who the heck is Sally Mae? Every few weeks, Sally Mae was a green envelope, like I think white and green. Who is Sally Mae? Oh, you know, I took out little student loans to, you know, pay some bills on the side. Huh? I thought your education was paid for. Well, it was, but I took out some money on the side for some spending money. Come on. Don't do that. So now we getting Sally Mae envelopes because you took out some money on the side for some spending money to pay some bills, but you had money over here to fund your college education already. Listen, don't get stuck in the student loan trap. But don't let your mindset be, let me just go by default to do those things. All right? So listen, if your student is unmotivated, take some time to discuss their motivation. What's moving them? What's moving you? What's the why? What's the thing that we want out of life? Why do we want to go to college? Why don't we want to go to college? Why aren't you completing these applications? Why didn't you turn in the essay? What's up with the motivation and the lack of motivation? Discuss that. Number 2, discuss money. If you never ever have the conversation about money, the big boy conversation, the big girl conversation, where we got to put our big boy drawers on to say, you know what? Everything in the world revolves around the transaction of money. Yeah, you went to a public school for the last 12 years. It was free. Going to college, somebody has to pay the bill. Now we can go on scholarships, but we have to have the conversation about money. And number 3, we have to discuss and talk about the mindset and the ways of thinking that we have in our family, or the ways of thinking that we have where it hinders us from stepping out. All right. Thank you guys so much. Remember this, only one game in life counts, and that's your A game. Hey, you guys have a blessed night. Bye-bye.